Chapter 42. Eventually, Jacob got to see that there were cereals in Egypt. Then Jacob said to his sons, "Why do you keep looking at one another?" And he added, "Here I have heard that there are cereals in Egypt. Go down there and buy for us from there, that we may keep alive and not die off." Accordingly, 10 brothers of Joseph went down to buy grain from Egypt. But Jacob did not send Benjamin, Joseph's brother, with his other brothers, because he said, "Otherwise a fatal accident may befall him." So Israel's sons came along with the others who were coming to buy, because the famine existed in the land of Canaan. And Joseph was the man in power over the land. He was the one that did the selling to all people of the earth. Consequently, Joseph's brothers came and bowed low to him with their faces to the earth. When Joseph got to see his brothers, he at once recognized them, but he made himself unrecognizable to them. So he spoke harshly with them and said to them, "Where have you come from?" To which they said, "From the land of Canaan, to buy foodstuffs." Thus Joseph recognized his brothers, but they themselves did not recognize him. Immediately Joseph remembered the dreams that he had dreamed respecting them, and he went on to say to them, "You are spies. You have come to see the exposed condition of the land." Then they said to him, "No, my lord, but your servants have come to buy foodstuffs. We are all of us sons of but one man. We are upright men. Your servants do not act as spies." But he said to them, "Not so, because you have come to see the exposed condition of the land." At this they said, "Your servants are 12 brothers. We are the sons of but one man in the land of Canaan, and here the youngest is with our father today, whereas the other one is no more." However, Joseph said to them, "It is what I have spoken to you, saying, 'You are spies.' By this you will be tested out. As Pharaoh lives, you will not go out of here except when your youngest brother comes here. Send one of you that he may get your brother while you have been bound, that your words may be tested out as the truth in your case. And if not, then as Pharaoh lives, you are spies." With that, he put them together in custody for 3 days. After that, Joseph said to them on the 3rd day, "Do this, and keep alive. I fear the true God. If you are upright, let one of your brothers be kept bound in your house of custody. But the rest of you, go. Take cereals for the famine in your houses. Then you will bring your youngest brother to me, that your words may be found trustworthy, and you will not die." And they proceeded to do so. And they began to say one to the other, "Unquestionably, we are guilty with regard to our brother, because we saw the distress of his soul when he implored compassion on our part, but we did not listen. That is why this distress has come upon us." Then Reuben answered them, saying, "Did not I say to you, 'Do not sin against the child'? But you did not listen. And now his blood, here it is certainly asked back." As for them, they did not know that Joseph was listening, because there was an interpreter between them. Consequently, he turned away from them and began to weep. Then he returned to them and spoke to them, and took Simeon from them and bound him before their eyes. After that Joseph gave the command, and they went filling up their receptacles with grain. Also they were to return the money of the men to each one's individual sack, and to give them provisions for the journey. Accordingly it was done so to them. So they loaded their cereals upon their asses, and got on their way from there. When one opened his sack to give fodder to his ass at the lodging place, he got to see his money, and here it was in the mouth of his bag. At that he said to his brothers, "My money has been returned, and now here it is in my bag." Then their hearts sank, so that they turned trembling to one another, saying, "What is this God has done to us?" At length they came to Jacob their father to the land of Canaan, and told him all the things that had befallen them, saying, "The man who is the lord of the country spoke harshly with us, since he took us for men spying on the country. But we said to him, 'We are upright men, we do not act as spies. We are 12 brothers, the sons of our father. One is no more, and the youngest is today with our father in the land of Canaan.' But the man who is the lord of the country said to us, 'By this I am going to know you are upright. Have one brother of yours stay with me. Then you take something for the famine in your houses, and go. And bring your youngest brother to me, that I may know that you are no spies, but you are upright. Your brother I shall give back to you, and you may carry on business in the land.' And it came about that when they were emptying their sacks, here was each one's bundle of money in his sack. And they as well as their father got to see their bundles of money, and they became afraid. Then Jacob their father exclaimed to them, 'It is I you have bereaved. Joseph is no more, and Simeon is no more, and Benjamin you are going to take. It is upon me that all these things have come.' But Reuben said to his father, 'My own 2 sons you may put to death if I do not bring him back to you. Give him over to my care, and I shall be the one to return him to you.' However, he said, 'My son will not go down with you men, because his brother is dead, and he has been left by himself. If a fatal accident should befall him on the way on which you would go, then you would certainly bring down my grey hairs with grief to Sheol.'" Chapter 43. And the famine was severe in the land. And it came about that as soon as they had finished eating up the cereals they had brought from Egypt, their father proceeded to say to them, "Return, buy a little food for us." Then Judah said to him, "The man unmistakably bore witness to us, saying, 'You must not see my face again unless your brother is with you.' If you are sending our brother with us, we are willing to go down and buy food for you. But if you are not sending him, we shall not go down, because the man did say to us, 'You must not see my face again unless your brother is with you.' And Israel exclaimed, 'Why did you have to do harm to me by telling the man you had another brother?' At this they said, 'The man directly inquired concerning us and our relatives, saying, "Is your father yet alive? Do you have another brother?" And we went on to tell him according to these facts. How could we know for certain that he would say, "Bring your brother down"?' Finally Judah said to Israel his father, 'Send the boy with me, that we may get up and go, and that we may keep alive and not die off, both we and you and our little children. I shall be the one to be surety for him. Out of my hand you may exact the penalty for him. If I fail to bring him to you and present him to you, then I shall have sinned against you for all time. But if we had not lingered around, we should by now have been there and back these 2 times. So Israel their father said to them, 'If, then, that is the case, do this. Take the finest products of the land in your receptacles, and carry them down to the man as a gift. A little balsam and a little honey, labdanum and resinous bark, pistachio nuts and almonds. Also take double the money in your hand, and the money that was returned in the mouth of your bags you will take back in your hand. Maybe it was a mistake. And take your brother and get up. Return to the man. And may God Almighty give you pity before the man, that he may certainly release to you your other brother, and Benjamin. But I, in case I must be bereaved, I shall certainly be bereaved." Accordingly the men took this gift, and they took double the money in their hand, and Benjamin. Then they rose, and went their way down to Egypt, and got to stand before Joseph. When Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he at once said to the man who was over his house, "Take the men to the house, and slaughter animals, and make preparation, because the men are to eat with me at noon." Immediately the man did just as Joseph had said. So the man took the men to Joseph's house. But the men got afraid because they had been taken to Joseph's house. And they began to say, "It is because of the money that went back with us in our bags at the start that we are being brought here, for them to fall upon us and attack us, and to take us for slaves, and also our asses." Hence they approached the man who was over Joseph's house, and spoke to him at the entrance of the house. And they said, "Excuse us, my lord. We surely did come down at the start to buy food. But what occurred was that when we came to the lodging place and began opening our bags, why, here was the money of each one in the mouth of his bag, our money in full weight. So we would like to return it with our own hands. And more money we have brought down in our hands to buy food. We certainly do not know who placed our money in our bags." Then he said, "It is all right with you. Do not be afraid. Your God and the God of your father gave you treasure in your bags. Your money came first to me." After that, he brought out Simeon to them. Then the man brought the men into Joseph's house, and gave water that they might have their feet washed, and he gave fodder for their asses. And they proceeded to get the gift ready for Joseph's coming at noon, because they had heard that it was there they were going to eat bread. When Joseph went on into the house, then they brought the gift that was in their hand to him into the house, and prostrated themselves to him to the earth. After this, he inquired whether they were getting along well, and said, "Is your father, the aged man of whom you have spoken, getting along well? Is he still alive?" To this they said, "Your servant our father is getting along well. He is still alive." Then they bowed down and prostrated themselves. When he raised his eyes and saw Benjamin his brother, the son of his mother, he went on to say, "Is this your brother, the youngest one of whom you have spoken to me?" And he added, "May God show you his favor, my son." Joseph was now in a hurry, because his inward emotions were excited toward his brother, so that he looked for a place to weep, and he went into an interior room and gave way to tears there. After that he washed his face and went out, and kept control of himself, and said, "Set on the meal." And they proceeded to set it on for him by himself, and for them by themselves, and for the Egyptians who were eating with him by themselves. For the Egyptians were not able to eat a meal with the Hebrews, because that is a detestable thing to the Egyptians. And they were seated before him, the firstborn according to his right as firstborn, and the youngest according to his youngness. And the men kept looking at one another in amazement. And he kept having portions carried from before him to them, but he would increase Benjamin's portion 5 times the size of the portions of all the others. So they continued banqueting and drinking with him to the full.